Hello and welcome back to this video tutorial series on using Spaza Commerce. In this video, we are going to be going over the store details section. So the section where you'll be updating any of your store details. So make sure you've signed into www.spaza.co and selected the store that you'd like to use for this video. Otherwise, if you haven't seen any of our other videos yet, I definitely recommend checking them out just so that you're up to speed with the demo store that we're creating for this series. So once you've signed in and selected your store, all you need to do then is just click on Store Details here on the left in the navigation drawer, and that will take you over to the Store Settings or Store Details screen. Now, this is going to be a short episode because setting up your store settings is actually not too complicated, which is great. So all we're going to do is just run through the fields that we see here on the store settings screen. So right at the top, you can see obviously the store name. If you ever want to change your store name, you can actually do that over there. The store email address is the email address that will be visible to your customers and the one that you'll receive your orders to, or your order emails to. So just to show you that in action, if we click on the visit your store link here on the left and open up the tab, you will see at the bottom, if we scroll down, the email address there that's been specified. So if I change that to info-awesome@spaza.co and I just hit updates at the bottom, then I'll go back to my store and I refresh, you'll see there that the email address will change. So that's actually pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to change that back to the original one. A store contact number, if you do want to supply that, as you'll see there, it may be displayed in some designs and templates. So let's just add in a generic number over there. And let's just again scroll down and hit update store settings just to see what change that affects. Now, if we just go back to our store, you'll see here at the top in this particular design that there's just a bar at the top, and now if I refresh, you'll see there that the store number is actually now coming through perfectly on the top there. So that's actually pretty cool as well, and it should be at the bottom. There it is in the footer as well. So that's great, and we can actually add some spaces in there as well if we'd like, just to make it a bit more readable. I actually did leave out a number there. That's pretty strange. So let's just update that quickly, go back to our store, refresh this page, and you'll see there that the number is updated accordingly. Brilliant. So moving on to the store description, as it says in the little descriptor over here, short description that may be used on some templates and meta tags. So let's just add something in there really quick. This is a very simple description. I wonder where this will be displayed. Let's hit update and let's see where those changes come through. So in your store, if we just go back to the store and refresh the page, you'll see there in the short about section on the footer is actually where that description will come through. You may remember we do have an about link in the main navigation. If we go to that, you'll see that this hasn't been updated yet. This is going to be covered in a future video, so not to worry. The short description, as you can see, is just the description that we added there, and it will appear in the footer. So let's go back to the admin control panel really quick and just run through the rest of the fields. Here you can choose your store currency. By default, it's going to be set to South African Rand, but you can choose any currency that you like. I'm just going to leave that as South African Rand for now. Then our store logo. This is where you upload your store logo. So I've actually prepared a logo already. So much like when we upload images for our products, we'll just click on upload a logo, and there it is, my pretty generic standard logo. So I'm just going to choose that, hit open, and you'll see there it's actually uploaded for us. So let's just scroll down, hit update again, and let's go back to our store. Let's just see if this will now actually change to our logo. And there we go. It's a pretty bad logo, but you get the idea. That's how you would add your logo to your store. You'll see it also appears in the footer. And this logo will also start making its way through on the invoices that your customers receive as well. So that's how you would do that there. Then just going back to the backend section really quick, just to go through the final fields. If you do have a Twitter handle that you use for any store-related tweets or activities, you can just add that in there. So let's just put there as an example, we can actually just use the one that we have over here. Just put in my Twitter handle. You just write the handle. You don't need the whole URL. So that's pretty straightforward. And your Facebook page URL, if you do have that, just add in this section the entire URL. So I'm just going to add in again, just using that one as an example. You'd obviously just put in yours for your Facebook page that you use for your store. And then before we get to the last two, I'm just going to update that so you can see what that looks like. If we now go back to the store and we refresh the page, we can see at the bottom now, we actually have a Twitter and Facebook link that has been added to our footer for us as well. So that's pretty great. So we can actually see that coming through. So that's awesome. As these are fake, I'm just going to delete these before I forget, and I'm just going to hit update. And then finally, the last two fields on this page, the store link and the analytics tracking code. Your store link, as I mentioned in a previous video, if you do want to change your store link, maybe you don't like the one that you chose when you set up your store, you can now actually change that right here in your store settings. So let's say, for example, I want to add in the name of Totally Brilliant Guitars into that. You can see there that it is actually available, which is great. It'll refresh as you type. So I want to choose Totally Brilliant Guitars as my new URL. I'm just going to hit update, and now you should see that the URL has now been changed to Totally Brilliant Guitars for you, which is really, really cool. If you're using a custom domain name, just remember, if you watched our previous video on using a custom domain name, you might need to start redirecting traffic to this new URL that you changed over here if you are using your custom domain name. But do just go back, check out that video just to make sure you know what's going on there if you haven't watched that video yet, and that'll all make sense. Going then finally on the final field here is just your Google Analytics tracking code. If you do have a tracking code that you'd like to use in your own Google Analytics just to monitor website traffic and user sort of flow, then just fill that in over here, including the script tags. Don't stress if this doesn't make sense or if it is confusing. If you do have an analytics account set up, you will be able to get that tag very, very easily from your account information. But if you don't, that's actually okay. You can just leave this blank and everything will actually work as expected. So I'm just going to change this back to just Brilliant Guitars. You can see that it's obviously available. Hit update, and you can see that my store URL is back to what it was. And that wraps up this episode. Very straightforward, very, very simple. As always, please leave any comments or feedback in the comment section at the bottom of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.